It was just a reminder from Dr. Dan.
Dan wants my notes, even though he's not here. But
Yeah.
he sat through this before, I believe, so he'll be good. All right. So we're just gonna start with who I am, in case you don't know, and I want you to notice some things along the way because I'm one of these guys that I practice what I preach, or I try to. I don't like hypocrisy in any of its shapes or forms. So if your LinkedIn profile doesn't look like this, and again, please take a moment and copy and paste your LinkedIn profile. If you don't want to know what I mean, go to your profile, view profile, and then take this, copy this, put it in the chat because I'm going to look at all 5 of them on this call and give you some actionable tips on what you can do immediately to step up your game. If you're not familiar with canva.com, I suggest you get familiar with it because this is a way that you can do some of the things that I'll be suggesting. So I'll just put that link here in the chat too. The reason why I like Canva is because you don't necessarily need to be a graphic designer, and you can use the resource for free if you don't use things like Adobe in InDesign or Photoshop or something like that. This is a nice little free tool. Okay. But here's the bottom line with LinkedIn right out of the gate. Most people who are interested in you in any capacity before they ever reach out to you are going to come check out your LinkedIn profile. This is the ultimate crab pot. And what I mean by that is this can sell for you 24/7. It's evergreen. But you need to help yourself put your best foot forward. So if you had to guess, what does Ira Bowman do for a living? And all you knew was what you saw on that banner, what would your guess be?
Increase sales through marketing,
All right, good. Anything else?
digital marketing.
Yep. One other key thing
And
I'm hoping
With
people
with SEO.
SEO. There you go. That's my number one product, right? There's no question here. I used to have SEO in here, and then this said Los Angeles. The reason why I did that is because I wanted people to know where I was from. But I found out through trial and error, and we learn as we go, that most people in today's world don't really care because it's more globally minded than ever before. So the fact that I'm in uh, Los Angeles and you're in Dallas, Texas, or you're in New Jersey, or any of the other places that were mentioned, Dublin, East Bay, California, for those of you outside of California, right outside of Oakland, about 40 minutes. It doesn't matter. I can service people anywhere, right? So I de-emphasized the thing that wasn't important or as important, and I emphasized the thing that was important. Um, the other thing is in my TEDx talk, my second TEDx talk, just so you guys know, I am a TEDx speaker. I've been there at TEDx Wilmington twice. Um, my second talk was on SEO services. If you ask me what my first talk was on, I'll tell you it was on how to go from uh, 0 to 6-figure income in less than a year using LinkedIn. And that's why Dan has me teaching this to you, because I can show you how to use LinkedIn to make more money. Now, the one thing I will say, I'm going to preface this by saying this. There are many different strategies. There isn't any one singular right way to do LinkedIn. So before you can accomplish your goal on LinkedIn, you need to identify what that goal actually is. So write that down. What is my LinkedIn goal? Some people, it's about this number right here. They don't know why, but they want this number as big as possible. Okay, great. Because I'm going
What
to tell you, making that number bigger actually makes some other goals harder. So it isn't always the number of followers. They might go, oh, well, it's actually this number right here. I want number of connections. Now, LinkedIn has a cap. It's a hard cap, 30,000. So you notice I'm not at the hard cap right now. Why am I not at the hard cap? It's by choice. I maxed out at 30,000 back in February of 2019 before I really understood what the opportunity cost was for me to max out at 30 and not have some reserve free seats. So like Ann just sent me a connection request. You can see I got a couple others just sitting there waiting, right? but I will accept this. And the reason why I'm going to accept this is because I'm going to tell you guys something I was going to say for the end, but I'll tell you now. Since you're on this call, if you send me a connection request, will connect with you because you're going to likely try some of the things that I'm talking about. And you're either going to like, hey, what was that again? Or Ira, I'm trying this and I'm not quite getting the result that I'm looking for. And we can tweak what you're trying, and I'll give you some free advice after today's session is over. And if I failed to mention the word free, let me say that one more time just so you guys can hear it. I'm trying to sell you anything today. This is just a value add thing. I'm trying to help my buddy Dan out and help you guys out at the same time. So if we need some supplemental meetings or conversations, feel free to reach out and I will help you at no charge. Okay. So let me go back to my profile so we can just finish up who the heck I am and why I'm here. In case I didn't make this clear enough, this is absolutely 100% the most important thing to you on all of LinkedIn. It's your, they call it the banner image. I call it the header image. You call it whatever you like. But that is because people are visual by nature. You've got an attention span. I used to ask this in this class. In fact, maybe I will. Let's see if any of you guys know what you're talking about. On LinkedIn, somebody comes over to your profile. Any guesses? How long will they look at your profile before they leave on average?
10
7
seconds.
seconds.
10 seconds is, I heard that twice. Anybody else?
No, I said 7. I said 7.
Who said 7?
Me.
Igor, you said 7. Any other guesses? We got 10 twice, I think, and we got 7. Anyone else?
Oh, I chucked it in the chat. I'm saying it's rodeo. You got 8 seconds.
Got 8 seconds. Well, Igor is the closest. On average, it's 6.5 seconds, which we could round up to 7 and give Igor credit for getting it right. But you know, it's funny. You guys are the best, the sharpest people at that I've ever talked to. Collectively, most people think somewhere between 30 seconds and 60 seconds because that's the average time people spend on websites when they go over. If you have a website, you have 30 seconds to 60 seconds, depending on who you are and what your field is. The averages change a little bit. So whatever demographic you're serving and whatever field you're in. But on LinkedIn, it's much, much less. So people don't read, they scan. And a picture says 1,000 words. It actually can say more than that, right? But I'm going to go just pop in real quick. We're just going to do a little pop quiz. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. My goal is to teach, and sometimes a little embarrassment can help you learn faster. So hopefully you guys are all friends and you can laugh about it later. But let's go. And gave me an active link. And actually, I think we just became friends, right? Oh, no. And you shared my link. All right, we got Keith here.
Sorry, I thought that's what she was asking for.
No, that's all right. You don't need to share my link. I know where I live. All right, this is Keith. This
That's me.
is not horrible, okay? But it's not great. So let me explain in the why it's not great so that everybody can learn. First of all, this part's pretty good, although I would say ideally when we're talking about your image profile, what you really want to do is try to get in as close to the face as possible. So you can still show these products. I would just zoom in probably about 20 to 25%, something like that. If you want help, I'll show you. Again, let me show you mine just as an example. I've got the camera in there. Same idea, but I want them to recognize my face. Now, you may notice I put it over here too, right? And it's bigger. That's not an accident. I want rapport building. I want them to recognize me, especially when we meet face to face. There's trust factor that comes in with them. And I'm looking, if you'll notice, in both instances, directly into the camera. And I've got, even though my smile is awful, it looks like I've got chiclet teeth. You know, they're not great, but I'm showing my teeth to be friendly because you want to show yourself as approachable, friendly, not stuck up, not I'm not trying to be an influencer per se, but part of the reason I became an influencer on LinkedIn is because I was not trying to be somebody I'm not. So when people meet me in person, they say this almost every time. Wow, you are exactly the same in real life as you are online. And I say, thank you very much. That is the goal. All right. So why is mine better than Keith's? All right. Anybody but Keith, don't look at this down here. Just from this, what does he do? Can you figure it out in 6.5 seconds? That's the problem.
A lot of stuff, I think.
Yeah. So here's
He's
what I
busy.
well, it's busy, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is if I come here and I just look at this, I don't know what he does. Right? Why do you want people to come to your LinkedIn profile? Auspiciously, because you want them to either be a client or you want them to be a joint venture partner. You want them to be an investor. You want them to be maybe a vendor, right? Like, so to do that, we need to highlight clearly what is that we do. Now, why do I say increase sales with better marketing? Because I'm not in the sales business. I don't offer direct sales, and I get sometimes people ask me about that. Ira, increased sales is the largest font, and then with better marketing, which is what we do offer, digital marketing services. So why this? Here's what it
Selling
boils
the
Here's what it
Oh, I'm
boils
sorry.
down. Here's what it boils down to, folks. It's really simple. Most people could give a rat's behind, I almost swore. All right. They don't care what you do. They don't care how long you've been doing it. They don't care where you do it from. All the things that somebody told you along the way that's important is actually not important. Think about it the way you think about it when you're looking for something that you're looking for. The who, the what, the why, the where, the how much, all of that is secondary. What's the most important thing? The most important thing is the what they want. What is it that people want? Why do they hire you? Not because you're a marketing or whatever it is that you do. They don't, most people don't want to hire me. The fact is, they need to hire me because they need something. And we're going to get into want and need in just a second. If you can prove to them that you can deliver what it is that they want, especially with very little friction, now you've got a very good prospect. And I'm going to tell you something that might blow your minds right out of the gate. You don't even need a lot of volume if you can start to do this correctly. I can make more money today on LinkedIn and get 100 views on a post than back when in 2018, 2019, 2020, when I was making posts that were getting seen by millions of people. Vanity metrics are not going to sell for you. You have to create from top to bottom and have a strategy from top to bottom that helps you get the message out in the way that they will receive it. So don't think about speeds and feeds and specs. And I'll even tell you why. Here's why. Because when you make something complicated and show what you think is, okay, so have you heard of fab selling? Features, advantages, benefits, right? A lot of people don't do that. They do advantages, they do features and advantages. But you know what you're really doing when you do that? You're building up the cost in the prospect's mind. And the no-brainer thing after the end of you doing that is, yeah, I would love to have it, but I can't afford it. So don't make yourself so expensive. So for every feature that you were going to highlight in your profile or your post, you're going to put at least 2 advantages for that one feature, but you're always going to show them 1 or 2 things. How does it help them with their money, or how does it help them with their time? With money, it could be increased revenue or it could be decreased cost. With time, it could be they gain more time. In other words, by doing this, there's freedom there somehow, right? The other thing is it could be like, hey, you don't need to waste your time doing this anymore because we can automate it or we can do that, take that off your plate, right? Time is actually more important than money in most cases because money is not finite, right? Money is infinite. If you don't understand that, we can talk about that offline. But time, no matter who you are, we have the same amount of time, right? There's so many minutes in a day. There's so many hours in a week. Right. You are constrained by time. So if you show me a way to save money or make more money, or you show me another option where I get more time, I'm going to take the time because I understand the limitation on the time. Okay. So back to the screen. The way to make this better is not necessarily by taking any of these images out, although I would. But what I would do if I wanted to use these images is go to Canva or go to Photoshop or wherever you're going to go, put over a transparency at like 50%. That's white or black. And then use the opposite color, white or black, because you'll get the most contrast, and spell it out in 5 words or less. Why 5 words? Because you got 6.5 seconds, and it takes the brain a second to start reading. Get more money, save more time, and then put your thing, right? So again, to mine, increase sales. What does that mean? More revenue. How? With better marketing. And then I give them my website, which I would recommend that every one of you that has a website, put your website in your header, because auspiciously your website's been set up to help reel them in. Your whole goal with LinkedIn should be one thing: catch the audience's attention and build the rapport to drive them to your website. Your website does the heavy lifting. So LinkedIn is not your sales tool. LinkedIn is your fishing net, your lure, your crab. I like Crab Pot. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyways, right? It was in Alaska and they would catch deadliest catch. Right. But what would they do with those crab pots? They would drop them. They would go away for a day, 2, 3 days, and then they come back and they caught what they caught. And that's how LinkedIn should work for you. LinkedIn shouldn't be something that takes you 3 hours a day. None of you are in the digital media space. You're not content creators, right? So LinkedIn should be a place where you come for 15 minutes to an hour a day. You do what you got to do and you get out. So the first thing is get this set up correctly. It's even more important than your profile photo, frankly, right? This is when they come to your page. This is the part they're going to consume every single time. Everything else they may or may not consume, right? I say the second most important thing is actually the profile photo, because everywhere you comment, which we're going to get to in a minute, everywhere you comment, they're going to see that. So if you can sneak your logo in there for branding, that's cool. I actually don't have it in this one. I use this same profile photo, by the way, on every single social media platform for branding consistency. Because when people see me on Facebook, they recognize me from LinkedIn, or on my Instagram, which also has 164,000 followers as well, right? So, my YouTube has it. All of them have it. So wherever they've seen me before, they recognize me. Okay, so when I update one, I update all. I would suggest you do the same thing. Let's get into the header content here, okay? Because this is actually really important as well. This has to do with something I like to call LinkedIn SEO. The fact is, there are people out there who need what you offer. There's lots of people, frankly, who need what you offer, but how do they find you if they don't know you? Now, this is one of the advantages of building your following, especially if you focus in the niche or the area for what you do. So, for example, if you are in the marketing space, you want to try to find people who are interested in the topic marketing. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to pitch. We'll get to that in a second, the content creation. But inside your header should not be the overall history with every skill set that you contain, every alphabet soup letter that you have, because a lot of people make those mistakes. So I can see your job history if I'm really interested, and you can see mine down here, right? It's already there. We don't need to regurgitate and have the same stuff in every section. But in this, what we really want to do, if they didn't understand what I do here, I want them to understand what I do here. Plus, I'm using some buzzwords, some keywords, if you will, with SEO. that help the algorithm understand, hey, when people are searching for need more sales, I want LinkedIn to put me in that suggested list. And they do because of my content, right? We're going to get down through it all real fast here. But why I'm spending so much time on this section right here, most people, believe it or not, will never do this. They'll never scroll. So you have got to really pay attention to this section. There's 3 things here that you really got to pay attention to. There's your header, there's your profile photo, and then there's this description here, right? Your heading. You've got to get these correct. Now, I will go through each of yours and offer you some suggestions. I might actually reach out to you one-on-one so I can understand a little bit better what you're trying to do. But again, the homework right out of the gate is you need to identify what you're trying to do. And auspiciously, I get it, right? More clients, it could be more exposure. Maybe, you're trying to get out of obscurity. You're in this field, you're trying to be a speaker, Igor, I think you said, right? And I've done a lot of public speaking. I get paid to speak. It's a great place to be. But I didn't start there. I did a lot of free speeches. How did I get people to even invite me on their stage? Dr. Dan being one of them. How did I get him to invite me on stage? There was a whole strategy behind it, believe it or not. And I don't have time to get into that. But we need to convey a message for you that says something to that effect. I am available for public speaking, right? It needs to be here. Right here, I would say public speaking. And what are you going to talk about, right? You motivating people for sports? Did you say golf? Something like that?
Golf is my industry, but I talk about entrepreneurship and personal development, mostly entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So then entrepreneurship, public speaking, public speaker available, something like that, right? Just let them know right out of the gate, because that's the main thing. If you were to get 1 or 2 a month opportunities to speak because of your LinkedIn, that would probably be a pretty good success rate, I would think, right? So let people know the main thing is the main thing. Let's get you what you're looking for. And then down here, you can add a little bit of detail to, and that's if you read this, what it says. Do you need more sales? I help increase sales by driving more visitors to my clients' websites. We manage websites, email, social media, photography, and video work for our digital marketing clients. I'm just letting them know a little bit of the how. Supporting what I've claimed here in written. And this is important too, because not everybody's visual. Most people are, but there are some people who, they're auditory learners or they're readers. And so you want to support it. Okay. Now, the next thing that's extremely important is the about section. And this is what, even more than the header, this is the number one thing people totally mess up. Here's how they mess it up. They just recap everything that's right here. Here's my work experience in written form. And that's not what you want to do. Let me explain this in a very simple way. The about section is more about what you're going to do and what you're doing now, as opposed to a look back. So it's present and forward facing as opposed to a look in the past. Get them excited about what you're doing. Try to build some intrigue. This section should be roughly 1,000 words. Shouldn't be 3,000 words. There is a hard cap on here to the number of characters you can use, but you probably don't need to use them all. But it also should be more than a sentence. This is for the people who are going to read it. This is extremely important. If you can get them to read this, you're already halfway home. You are halfway home if they read your about section. So make sure it paints the picture for what you want to do. Let me tell you guys, I spent 20 plus years in the print industry. I don't reference the print industry in here really at all. I do have a philanthropy. It's a charity. For those not familiar with the word philanthropy, right? I help people find jobs for free. I have a whole website dedicated to it. Launched that back in 2018. All right. So I do talk about it briefly just for those people who are searching for me, but I don't emphasize it. Why? Because I don't make any money at it. It's something I do to help. So I help as I can, but it isn't the emphasis of my life. So I talk about the things that I emphasize the most, right? Okay. The featured section. If you don't have this thing turned on yet, turn it on right now. And what do you want to put there? Well, you're about to do a TEDx talk, right? That auspiciously, that's why we're all here. We're training for TEDx. So when it comes out, I would suggest you highly consider making that your main thing. Now I've got another thing I want to show you. It's called a media kit. The media kit is another place where I'm going to suggest you put your TEDx talk. What is the media kit? Again, this is very much like the about section on your LinkedIn. Who is Ira Bowman? What does he do? I am an entrepreneur as well. Photographer, I'm a graphic designer, SEO expert, website developer. I'm a digital marketing specialist. I'm a social media influencer. I'm a sales professional. I happen to be a best-selling author 6 times now, 2 times TEDx speaker. I do have my press credential, and I'm a philanthropist. Now I spend the rest of the time making a case for what I just said. So I have an about section on me in a bio. I have a little blurb about my company. I am a photographer. There's some social proof. Here are some of my images that I've taken. Told you I'm a 2 times TEDx speaker. Here's both of my talks if you want to see them. Some of the photos of me. This is one of my good friends, Tia. I'm sure you know Tia by now. I've been featured in Forbes magazine, so there's an article about me in Forbes. These are some of my photos that I took. I hate these photos in full disclosure, but they published them in Forbes, so I linked to them anyways. I'm a book author. I told you 6-time bestseller. Here are all the bestsellers. Okay, and then some on stage appearances. I told you guys I speak publicly, so here's some of my speeches. My last stage appearance was a little bit while ago now in November at a thing called Gain. Podcast appearances. These are articles. I have my press credential. I write for magazines. So here's some of the articles that I've written. It's not everything, it's highlights. Okay. Some of my LinkedIn live shows. I've been going live on LinkedIn since 2018. I was actually in the beta group for that when they launched it. I was one of the first 750 people on all of LinkedIn to get that capability because of my network size. And then I have media questions. You want to be interviewed by people? Make it easy. Reduce friction. So I make it easy. I give them pre-populated questions they can ask me. Now they can ask me other things, but this gets the ball rolling, including one of my favorites, which is right here. Do you really have 8 children? Yes, I do. All right. And then a way for them to contact me. This is a media kit. Again, how does this tie in? This ties into your featured section, but this should mirror your about section. Bina, you have your hand up.
Yeah, where do you get the media kit from?
Well, I created it because it's one of the things that I do. So if you need help making one, that is something we could talk about. Just in full disclosure, I do charge for that. It's $1,000 is the price tag. But
Okay, so this is something that you do. So it's kind of like a landing page or type of thing that you embed.
yeah. So what it is standalone 1-pager website. You can go and you can use GoDaddy, Wix, any of those,
Yeah.
and create it yourself. But you want to have all these things on there, right? So your list is going to be different than my list. But what would you put in here, right? Obviously, you have nurse, coach, other things, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
put all that stuff in there, then you have a bio. And then if you have your own business, put a blurb. This is actually how people schedule an appointment with me.
So it's like it's almost like your website, basically.
It's kind of like a website, but this is just about you, right?
Yeah.
And here's the point to it. The point to it is this. Hang on, I was trying to show you guys something. The point is this: when they don't know you or they don't know you well, hang on.
They want to research you specifically all about you at that point.
Well, it's not even necessarily about that, right? I'll just say it for me, how simple it is for me. I don't know why this isn't opening up. Here we go. All right. Oh, it's on the other screen. Here we go. When someone goes and gets an email from me, right, in my footer, instead of having the link to my Calendly, which I actually have the pro version, right? So it's branded. They don't go to my Calendly. They go to my media kit. Well, why do they go to the media kit? There's something here called an anchor point. If you know I'm a photographer, but that's all you know about me, you're going to anchor me at one thing. Well, what if you need a new website built? Well, I am a website developer, right? And I explain it in my media kit. But also it helps them anchor you where you actually are. If you ever had this experience, you changed somewhere in your career, you switched gears, you're doing something different, right? Serial entrepreneurs probably face this all the time, right? Well, I thought you were doing this and now you're doing that. And people judge you, not necessarily kindly. So usually it's the closer they are to you, the longer they've known you, family. How do you get them to see you the way that you really are and what you're doing now? The
Okay.
media kit helps to shape that and anchor you where you are, right? If I had 500 people on LinkedIn and had never spoken on TEDx, how much stock would you put in this advice I'm giving you? But the fact that I have 186,000 followers on LinkedIn right away, people go, well, I'll listen to what he has to say. I'll be open-minded at least, right? You're not necessarily drinking the Kool-Aid, although you should because it's good advice, right? But the fact is, you make the case for people to trust you and have confidence in you and what you're talking about.
Okay. So it helps for people who have like multiple businesses, like that does multiple things. Because I have like
It
three
doesn't have
parts.
to be. It doesn't have to be multiple things, right? Like, let's say Igor only wants to do public speaking on, entrepreneurship, whatever. But the fact is, people aren't familiar with his
Right.
resume. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you everything else is stripped out. This is nuts and bolts. I just got done doing one for a musician, right? And so we put all her I forget what they call them, EPs, right? But all her songs are on there. Photos of her singing, videos of her being interviewed and stuff like that. It's all dedicated to her as the artist. But it's to make the case because she's not a household name yet. So when she sends this, she only sends it to basically events she wants to perform at. She's trying to get an invite to perform. And so she uses the media kit in that way. You can use it in multiple ways, just like with your LinkedIn strategy. What are you trying to do? It's different. She doesn't necessarily need to focus on trying to build huge followings because that will come as she ascends in the music space, right? When she starts selling millions and millions of, downloads on Spotify or whatever, then the following will come naturally. All right. So let's keep going with this because we're running short on time and I want to make sure you guys get your money's worth out of this class. All right. So that was the about section. Again, current, facing forward, what goes here. Services section, if you don't have this filled out, this is just the nitty gritty. What is it that you do? Well, here's what I do. WordPress design, logo design, graphic design, web design, video production, headshot photography, social media marketing, digital marketing, search engine optimization, commercial photography. I offer all these services. Okay. Most people won't get there, but if they get there, I want them to know exactly what they can get from me. Your featured section again, what should you have in here? I have a lot in here. Both of my TEDx talks are in there, my media kit's in there, but then I also have articles that I've written that are applicable to my area. So ChatGPT will dramatically change Google and by extension SEO. And this is coming to fruition. You may have seen it with Alexa and Siri and then ChatGPT and Gemini, right? What does Google do? It answers the question by giving you a resource to go check out. What does ChatGPT do? Well, it aspires to give you the direct information. In other words, it answers the question directly. Now, can you trust that answer or not? Just search the word hallucination and have fun reading that. So you always got to take everything with a grain of salt. But the fact is, it aspires to give you the answer, and eventually they'll get hallucination figured out. All right. I also have a video, it's 3 minutes long, that introduces my company and all the 6 services that we offer. It's a great commercial. It's in there. And then I have some other stuff too. Okay, so I'll show you what I've got. There's the commercial. This is an article that I wrote on how you can increase website traffic. This is pillar content. If you don't know what pillar content is, it's okay. You're not in the SEO space. But if your website struggles for traffic, it could likely be that you don't have pillar content and you need it. This is actually just a link to my website, straight to my website. These are the services that I offer in graphical form. We've got why you should hire us, and it's just a message, point blank. Then I told you about my philanthropy. This is cover letter strategy. A lot of people aren't using cover letters. It's a mistake when they're doing a job search. So I explain why and how to write one. And then sales growth by design, this cute little commercial that I made. This is a thing that I used to do. I actually don't do it anymore. I used to have a hashtag called Let's Grow Together and Follow You Friday, which turned into Follow Me Friday. And then I just got tired of doing it. So I stopped it altogether. And this is back when I had hair from 2018. And it's about my project Help You Grow. But anyways, there's just, it's featured section. So it's highlights. So you put stuff in there that isn't necessarily on point for what you're trying to do, because it can also be rapport building. You need people to know who you are, but then you also need them to like who you are, and you need them to trust you. Once you have know, like, and trust, business flows more naturally. All right. So all that can be happen in the featured section. The experience section is the part people focus far too much time on. It's actually one of the least important things, other than making sure this stuff is accurate. Right. So make sure you have your titles correct. But this is something that I've been doing for a long time. How do you get, if they search in here marketing, how do you get your name up at the top of the list? Well, one of the ways that you do it is by having uh, the description of what you do in your heading, as opposed to the titles, just the titles, right? But also in here, you're going to use those same keywords, marketing, in the title itself. There's something called H tags, which is part of SEO. These are H tags. These are not. So make sure the description of your title includes the keyword. So entrepreneur, motivational speaker, nurse coach, all those things should be in your titles wherever applicable, right? So here I was director of sales and marketing. I get a marketing pickup here. Okay. I'm the webmaster for Project Help You Grow. So I put it in there. Is it my official title? Not really, but it's true. I run the website. I am the webmaster. So it's there. Here I'm a vice president of marketing and projects. Don't care so much about the projects, but I like the marketing. It's in my title. So I use it. Photography. I made a page that's Ira Bowman Photography. This isn't a company. This is just my hobby beyond my profession. It's also my hobby. So on my website, irabowman.com, if you go there, you'll see nothing but, photos I wasn't paid to take. They're just photos I like to take. So that's the difference. But it helps me here to increase the ranking. When someone searches photographer, I haven't done this in a while. Now, if you really want to do this, what you need to do is you need to search incognito. But if you put in any of the things that you do, right? Who shows up? How does LinkedIn know this order? Well, it's using what we call an algorithm, but inside that is a formula, right? It has rankings for things. So in your title, in your heading, in your job titles, in your skills and achievements, certifications, all those things have these titles. Let's go back to mine. So I have marketing in here over and over, SEO, graphic design, all these things. In my services offered, that's why they're here. This highlights. I'm getting points. You need to accumulate points. The higher the points are, the more you're going to get. Let me show you where points really aren't. They're not inside here. None of these are H tags, right? This is all just regular text. So anything that's like a title, you can assimilate that with the word H tag. All right. So anything that's a title, that has more weight on LinkedIn for search. So your services are H tagged. Your titles are H tagged. Your education is H tagged. Only if you include it in the name, which I haven't because I want to tie it to the direct university. So I'm giving away points there, but that's okay. All right. License and certifications. These are good. Okay. Projects are good. But skills, this is where a lot of people are messing up too. They either don't use it or they just went with whatever LinkedIn recommended, and don't do that. These need to be on purpose. Photography, Lightroom. Let me show you my whole list. You'll see what I'm talking about. When I first started on LinkedIn back in 2009, I was in the print industry. I wasn't running a marketing company. So the ones that I had built up, and I had thousands of endorsements on some of these, I deleted them because they were no longer applicable. I didn't need to be found for plotter sales, for print sales, for sales, frankly, right? So what do I need to be found for now? Photography, Adobe Lightroom, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, WordPress, search engine optimization, marketing, digital marketing. You guys get the idea? Graphics. Make sure that you're picking things that help boost your score, that support where you are and where you're headed. It's not backwards facing. Again, the mistake most people are making with LinkedIn is if you read their whole profile, it reads like a job resume. And LinkedIn is so much more than that. I don't ever use LinkedIn to find a job, but I use it to find lots of clients and opportunities to speak and guest appearances. I was just invited on a show today. They come because of what I've done to boost myself in the results, search results page on LinkedIn. Now, am I at the top of every? No, I'm not. But I'm working to get there, right? Now, here's the other thing, recommendations. They say in life, if you give, then you will receive. It's the same with recommendations. Find people that you worked with in the past and give them an unsolicited recommendation and watch how many of them will return the favor. It's natural for people to do that. That's the natural reaction. Oh, I really appreciate you. You know what? I'm going to write one for you too. Cool. Thank you so much. Well, I've gotten over 60 of them. Every one of these counts as a bonus point. Okay. So the name of the game here is just like anything else. You want the more points you get, you win. So that was the lesson really quickly on how to set up your profile. Now let me show you what to do with posts and how you should spend your time. Somebody raised their hand if this is not the way you consume LinkedIn, but I'm going to guess that all 5 of you, this is how you consume LinkedIn. You go to LinkedIn, right? And you start doing this. This is how you consume LinkedIn, or you're on your phone and you do this, right? Okay, this is called the feed. The activity feed on your phone and on your desktop are actually 2 very different things because there's multiple algorithms. I'm going to get into the word algorithm in just a minute. But there's 2 ways to sort this. You can do top. So it's saying, hey, Ira, fill in your name. This is what I think you will be most interested in. Or you can sort it by most recent. Now, they've still pre-sorted and eliminated things they don't think you will be interested in. Or there's things that they want to promote, like this is garbage. But somebody paid to boost it, promote it, right? So if this is how you spend your time on LinkedIn, you're wasting your life. Every second you spend doing this, you're wasting your time. Let me show you a better way to consume LinkedIn and do it on purpose. What you want to do is you want to go to people's profiles. Let's say you want to see my content and you go, man, I never see posts from Ira Bowman. That's true of almost all 186,400 whatever followers I have right now. Did you know that? The more followers you have, the less likely they are to see your posts. That's why I say there's an opportunity cost to growing it. But if you really want to see what people are doing, you can utilize what I call the bookmark approach. So when I bookmark, I go to their profile. Let me just show you how I do it real quick. Okay. I go to their profile. Then I come down here to their activity, show all posts. I make sure it's on posts and I bookmark that. This is where I want to be. Now I'm seeing exactly who I want to see, her most recent post, and I can scroll it if I want to. But now I never miss a post from Allison DeFord unless I choose to miss it. I can do this much faster. It's much more concentrated, and I can make sure I'm not missing on the opportunity to give them some love. Because really, all this is saying is, I like you. I appreciate you. I want to be a part of your network. If you're not doing this stuff for your friends, then they think you're a jerk. And that's the truth, whether they say it or not. I'm just telling you what most people are too embarrassed or too shy to say. Now, you may have noticed I don't use the thumb. I never use the thumb. I always use one of these. They used to have one in here. It was called Curious. They got rid of it because it was stupid. I never use that one because sometimes people could take that as passive aggressive. But I use the heart a lot. I use the support a lot. I use the clap, right? You're cheering people on. This is just letting them know you stopped by to say hi. Now, is that going to get you money? Probably not. But it's going to help win you a little bit of favor. Keep that relationship current. Want to win favor? Here's what you do. Read the post. Boy, this is a hard one to read. How long is it going to take me to read this? 3 seconds. This image motivates me, inspires me every day. What about you? Share your motivational eye candy. Okay. So I'm going to say, now I want you to notice 3 things. I spoke directly to the post.
Yeah.
I was friendly. Hope you're having a great day, my friend. And then this is the money, money, money. I asked an open-ended question. Can't be answered by yes or no. Why is that so important? Let me show you why. You see this little thing right here, most relevant? Now, on some platforms, they call it different things, top comment, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's the idea. You always want to earn this spot right here. How do you do that? You get people to reply. Okay? One way that encourages a response, it begs a response, is when you ask an open-ended question. But the reason why I stay away from yes or no's is because there's nowhere to go with that. It's yes or it's no. This allows her to, I don't know, maybe she's on vacation. Maybe she's dealing with a sick kid. She could be doing any one of millions of things. But I didn't preclude her from going any way that she wants. And then when she responds, I'm going to respond again. And guess what? I'm going to have a question in there. Every single comment you make should include an open-ended question. So just drill that in your brain. In fact, if you only take away 2 things from me today, take away, I need to fix my header and I need to ask more questions. Most of you make too many statements and then don't ask enough questions. But what do most people want? They want to talk about themselves. Right? Think about that for a second. When you meet somebody at a networking event, when you're meeting them for the first time, if you're the one doing all the talking, unless it's a lecture like this, you should shut the hell up and let them talk. I struggle with that. I'm really bad at it. I've gotten better over the years. I like to talk, right? Okay. But they will remember you much more, not what was said, but their feeling about you. Remember, know, like, and trust. The like part is you asking them questions and then listening to the answers and staying engaged. Why do I keep going back to this? Quit the share and look you in the face. Because I want you guys to like me. You won't remember half the tips I'm sharing. You won't implement 99% of them if you guys follow the same course I'm used to seeing, right? I'm not saying you guys are smart. You got the 10-second question, the 6.5-second question better than everybody else. So hopefully you follow me. Trust me when I tell you I'm pretty good at this stuff, right? But here's the thing. If you don't like me, what's the odds that you're going to reach back out? Probably pretty slim. I want you to feel like we bonded over this, right? That's why I'm not giving you a formal presentation and I've cut out all the crap and I'm just giving you the straight, like, super concentrated version here because I got 5 more minutes. Now I can stay a little later if you guys want to stay or stick around, but that'll be up to you, okay? So in your comment, always ask a question. Always. But also address their content because that's important to them. How are you doing today? Awful question. If that's your comment, stop it. Right? No pitching allowed in comments. Always be on their target. Always give them the opportunity to talk about the thing that's important to them because at the end of the day, that's where the know, like, and trust will come from. They will be excited when they see a message from you because they know that you're an encourager and you're a supporter. And by the way, about 50% of the people you do that for on a regular basis, which is why we bookmark, we get there faster, we build the results with specific people, and we're engaging with those people because everybody's got a threshold. You cannot engage with 186,465 people. It's impossible. I tried to do it for a year. I stayed up 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, almost lost my marriage because of it. Full disclosure. My kids all hated me. Full disclosure. You cannot do this 24/7. Again, 15 minutes to an hour a day max, because none of you are in my space. I do it more than that because I get paid to do it. All right? But here's the bottom line. If you're talking about you, if you're selling you, you are cutting your nose off to spite your face. Yeah, you might get some instant sales, but you're not building relationships. The most valuable thing on LinkedIn will not be customers. Boy, that's going to blow everybody back. What do you mean? The best thing that you can do on social media is build referral sources. If I asked each of you, took a poll, what's your number one source of revenue? Almost all of you would probably say, in fact, all of you probably would say referrals. People know me. They know what I do. They hear somebody else who needs what I offer, and they recommend me. And by the way, it costs nothing to them to do that. In fact, they might even make money if you have an affiliate program. If you're really smart, you'll pay them. Incentivize them. It's called gamification. We'll get into that later if you guys want to meet again. All right. But here's the bottom line. If I can get as many people as possible on LinkedIn to know what I do, they know me, they like me, they trust me, they know the value I provide to people who need what I offer, and then they tell them about it, that's gold. And that's how I make 6 figures on LinkedIn. It isn't by having 186. I make $0 from LinkedIn. They don't send me a check. Now, I do get paid from YouTube and Instagram, full disclosure, but I don't get paid from LinkedIn. But I make more money on LinkedIn than I make on any of the other platforms, with the exception of Google, right? But the bottom line is this. You need them to know who you are. You need them to like you. You need them to understand how you help people. And then you got to get them to do what they do naturally if they like you, which is refer. How many of you have a friend who does something like, somebody needs a hairstylist and your friend's a hairstylist? Wouldn't you say, hey, you should talk to my friend. She's a hairstylist. I get a lot of photography work that way. Hey, you're in Southern California. You need a photo taken. Ira's your guy, right? That's what you want. So let me tell you how to make posts. Stop selling on LinkedIn. I know none of you really know me, but I have 8 kids. One of my kids is extremely ill. Like we thought she was going to die at one point. Luckily, we got past that. Okay. She has really rare case of something that isn't even fully diagnosed. 2.5 years I've been dealing with it. Over the last 2.5 years, if you look at my top five posts, performing posts, and remember, I'm really good at this. This is what I do. My top 5 posts are all about my daughter. Nothing to do with marketing, nothing to do with Ira, everything to do with my daughter. I get probably 100 messages a day from people saying, I'm praying for your daughter. How is your daughter? The thing about LinkedIn that most people make a mistake with is they try to monetize too quickly. There's no relationship. But what can set you apart from all your competition is this. You're a person first. So share water cooler content. How do you create it? And I'm sorry, we're out of time officially, but I'm going to keep going. So if you can stay, please stay. And I'm recording. If you can't, we'll get you the video. Okay. When you set up your post, what you want to do is you want to have a title. Think about extra, read all about it. You've got like a magazine, news article, attention grabbing statement. The more shocking, the better. Right? So you set up a title. Then you want to give it some space. It's like space. Now we've got some room. Then you just want 1 or 2 sentences that support that draw them in. Okay? So something like, my daughter almost died. That's a great attention grabber, right? And then I go in, she got brain inflammation. And we're not sure exactly what it is. And then we go down again, space. And now we're going to write a paragraph at the most. But this will be the body, right? So you've got, I call it the heading. Then you've got the subheading. There's space in between it. Then there's more space in between it. Now there's your body. And I might say, yeah, one day back in 2021, in August of 2021, my daughter woke up with a stomach ache in the middle of the night. We thought it was no big deal. We said, take some Pepto and go back to bed. And then 3 weeks later, she was almost dead. Right? We go into the story a little bit. Now, space. This is the other part most people are missing. It's a call to action. What are you going to do about it? I would love if you guys would pray for my daughter. Right? There's my call to action in this type of a post. But I'm sharing a personal thing. Now, I might put a picture. I would suggest you do. Now, in this case, with my daughter, I don't always share pictures, but sometimes I do. And I've shared all kinds of different pictures when she's at her best, when she's at her worst, with tubes coming out of her, you know what I mean? All kinds of stuff. So then I always, no matter what the post is, put the @ symbol and my name. And then because remember I have that photography page, I also do the @ Ira Bowman Photography. And then I have my Bowman Digital Media page on LinkedIn. So I also do the @ Bowman Digital Media. That's my signature. Now, we didn't get into hashtags today because we ran out of time, but hashtags are also good. What hashtags do is bring people who don't know you but are searching for that content to you. Okay? You may or may not make the list. Again, it's about the ranking there, the algorithm. How well do you stack up? I will tell you this, though. If you use hashtags that are smaller, you're more likely to be found than if you're using larger. I used to spend 10 minutes walking through all the most popular LinkedIn hashtags. The problem with that is the algorithm has so much content to serve up to people when they search those, you'll never be found. So instead, use the smallest ones. Use ones with 50, 100, 1,000. Those are better. You can think of them as micro hashtags if you want, but those will actually get your content found. Which is the only reason you're using hashtags in the first place, is to get found. Okay? But those are people who don't know you. You tag yourself in these posts for one very important reason. Whenever somebody engages with your post, you should respond to it. I don't care if it's the exact minute. That's okay. Remember 15 minutes to an hour a day? No problem. So you do it tomorrow, but you don't ignore it ever, right? If it's a comment by a troll, in other words, they're trying to piss you off, just delete the comment. It's your post. You can curate it. I think you should. Some people feel different about that because of the First Amendment, right? But I say, look, it's my post. They have the right to go say what they want on their page, on their post, but they don't have the right to say whatever they want on my post. So that's how I look at it. You might disagree. That's okay, right? But I want to respond to every comment. Now, remember, the referrals are the best source of revenue for LinkedIn. That's what you're really hoping, is to build in a referral army. So when some of your friends see your post, especially the ones about my daughter, they will share it. Now, I will get a notification every time somebody shares one of my posts. But what I won't get, if I don't tag myself in the post, is I won't get a notification when someone responds to that shared post. But if you tag yourself in the post, then even when they share it, you're still going to get a notification because you're tagged in the post. You understand what I mean by tag? That little @ symbol and then your name? Yeah, okay, good. When I first started teaching this class, nobody knew what I meant. I had to show them. Anyways, that's pretty much all the content that I go over in this class. I'm sorry for going 4 minutes over, but yeah, I will take your questions. Again, I can stick around as long as we need to. Igor, go ahead.
Thanks, Ira. That was really great, by the way. Very
Thank
much
you.
to the point. So I appreciate that. I've hired people to do certain things for me because I don't have time to go and spend time, and I also, to be honest, not my kind of cup of tea.
Sure.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on so for example, I have someone who does outreach for my podcast appearances.
Yeah.
Right, and she does.
You've got a VA, sure.
Yeah, a couple of VAs.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on having a VA represent you in these comments? If they're, you can trust them and vetted enough to actually make it sound like you, not just a bot.
Okay, there's an opportunity cost to everything, right? So let me give you the pros and the cons, and then you just make the decision based on the pros and the cons. So what I would say is this: you might have 50 to 100 people that you bookmark and you handle. Give them a do not touch these comments, do not touch these people, right? List. That's the kind of workaround between the pros and the cons here, what I'm about to say. The pros to having a VA, obviously, is you can afford, if your VA's in the Philippines and you're paying them $4 an hour, $7 an hour, whatever, right? They're cheap. So they can work 8 hours a day. They can get a heck of a lot done, more done, right? And they're spreading seeds. That's all good. That's pro. Love it. Cheap and volume. Nothing wrong with that. Problem comes in with people that you know, or that people that they start to create a relationship with over time, right? You're going back and forth. There's a little banter or whatever, even if they assimilate your voice. Now there's innuendos that will happen in conversations that are going to go right over their head, or will go over your head later, because you've established this online banter rapport that now you miss later. That's the opportunity cost. So I have made comments to some of my friends with inside jokes that the comment suggests clearly the VA who's responding, because I understand that a lot of people use VAs. This is actually not rare. This is probably more normal for most people than most people understand. You're not speaking in a lot of cases to the person you think you're speaking to. With ghostwriters, it's been happening forever with books, but now it's happening with VAs because VAs, again, are offshore, are cheap. So just be careful that you're not missing out. It can actually be offensive. This is the cautionary tale. And I've had some things like this where I was talking about my daughter and somebody that I've spent hours with talking to on the phone or in person about the very specifics of the struggles. They make an insensitive comment that they didn't actually make. And I actually will pick up the phone and call them out on it. I'm like, look, if you got a VA who's making comments on your behalf, you better damn well be sure that you're not insulting people. Because that right there, that was offensive. And I'm not one of these, new weather people who gets offended by every little thing. Trust me, I've got thick skin. But you just have to be careful because we do live in a world where people get offended easily. So the cautionary tale there is that look, there's positives and negatives to almost everything. So I'm not anti-VA. I think their VAs do a lot of good. I employ VAs not for my personal social media because of what I do for a living, but for my clients. We have VAs for almost all of them. Right. And so we have weekly meetings and we update, we have a round table and we talk about the things, right? And they can assimilate your voice and they can do a great job. So anyways, I'm neither pro nor con. I'm just a realist. There are lots of people who use them. So what are the good things about them? What are the bad things about them? And then you have to decide how you want to manage them. But the bookmark thing, the do not called or touch list, that's a way to safeguard from some of that. You need to take your 50 closest prospects or best customers and say, hey guys, I will always handle these ones because there's too much history there. I can't possibly tell you about it all.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rashad?
Yeah. Ira, thank you for today. I have gone through the Justin Welsh school of commenting. I'm sure you know Justin Welsh and what he's done out there. Last year, I probably spent, a good 3/4 of the year every day putting a post at a certain time and then engaging with hundreds of different other creators, and then they were commenting back. And, it didn't really reap any ROI,
Right.
especially considering the amount of time that's out there.
It's busy work. It's a waste of time.
A lot of busy work, a lot of waste of time. Learned it by experience. And now I've basically taken for the past year, just, when I have something to say, I put it out there. When I want to post something, I put it out there. I don't do it every day. Although I'm
You don't
sure.
need to. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't need to. Less is more in a lot of cases. I
Yeah.
didn't say you got to post every day. I used to teach that, you should post every 4 hours, but that was before I understood the vanity metrics weren't the thing I was really going after. I was still new at it and thinking, well, I know if I do this every so often, and by the way, that number has changed drastically over the years. LinkedIn's changed their algorithms. I'm going to say something that probably will blow you guys away. There's so many quote unquote LinkedIn experts that will prescribe this, that you need to master the algorithm, and I'm going to tell you it's impossible. There is no one algorithm. You take your phone and your desktop version of LinkedIn and you'll see two different things. Everybody has two algorithms, and everybody's algorithms are a derivative of AI. They're all unique and they can change instantly. So what works for me right now may not work for me later today. It sure as hell isn't guaranteed to work for you. Anytime somebody tells me they're an algorithm expert on LinkedIn, I immediately tune out because I know they're full of crap. There hasn't been a singular LinkedIn algorithm since 2019. So
I agree I agree with you on that.
Well,
Completely.
Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and that was one of the first things they changed.
Yeah.
Because they realized that we're all individual and we're all doing different things. But you could test it really clearly with just your phone and your desktop. You just pull it up and look at the first things it shows you is going to be different.
I mean, it's a lot of people I met through the whole Justin Welsh time period, where a lot of us believe that, Justin Welsh created a product. Intention was probably pure and good. Like, this worked for me. Let me show what could work for you. But inadvertently, his product became a snake oil salesman product because it just created so many con artists and scammers out there,
Right.
who all pound their chest that they can offer service that they themselves have never walked down the road. But outside of that, my question to you was, I saw that you had Sales Navigator up there on your when you were sharing your screen.
Yep.
What is your advice or suggestion on leveraging Sales Navigator to potentially get customers? And I'll add one more caveat to that question, which is, how do you approach the DMs through Sales Navigator? I assume that's what it would be, where you're not coming off spammy, as and I know that's versus building a relationship.
Yeah, let me tell you, the best way to DM people is to give away stuff. I don't sell anything. You'll never get a DM from me asking you to buy anything. You'll never get an email from me asking you to buy anything. The way that I have endured myself to the world is by giving, 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 and then giving more. You can be selfish if you want, but that's a scarcity mindset. Instead, I live with an abundance mindset, or a thrive mindset, which is there is plenty for everybody. So I give away stuff. So what do? I do things like YouTube videos. I have one that's 39 minutes long, and it's basically, how do you get more website traffic? And if you watch it and implement the techniques that I teach on that, very much just like if you implement the lessons I just gave you on LinkedIn, you'll get a lot more positive results than by wasting your time making 100 comments every day. Right? Especially if you're not asking the open-ended question, especially if you're pitch slapping. That's what I call it. I don't pitch slap anybody. So Sales Navigator, for me, in full disclosure, I've already turned it off. It just, because I prepaid for a year, they haven't turned it off yet. But what I was using it for, and I found a better solution, was sometimes, my clients were looking for contacts inside of a company. And so because I have such a large network, LinkedIn Sales Navigator was, a great tool, because I'm seconds with just about the entire platform. And that's the truth, right? Because back in 2017, 2018, when I was building up, I was friends with everybody, Justin Welsh type folks, right? So we all grew kind of together. Now, what made me an outcast in there, in a lot of that sphere, they hate me, is because I was doing it a different way. I was about the relationship, not about the snake oil. All right. So there you go. They didn't like it. But for me, it works. It works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm not afraid to call a spade a spade. And wasn't trying to make money. I've never made any money directly off LinkedIn. Like, I wasn't trying to sell a course or whatever. Now, I've been paid by companies to come in and train them. Temple University, I'm proud to say, has hired me multiple times to come in. Alibaba's paid me multiple times to come in. I absolutely love Zig Ziglar. I run the Zig Ziglar page on LinkedIn, and some of their, not Ziglar Corporation, but some of the companies that actually are affiliated with Ziglar have hired me to come in and train their sales reps how to use LinkedIn. So I've made money that way. But you can't go to my website and buy a LinkedIn course. It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So they all pretty much were trying to do that. Hire Ira, or you fill in the name of your influencer, and I'll make posts on your behalf. And people like Corey Warfield, right? Well, I'll come and, comment on your stuff and share your stuff for 3 months if you pay me $4,000. And that was the, thing. And I wasn't into that thing. And then there was Active Influencer and all this other products. But anyways, long story short, they didn't like me because I didn't fit their mold, right? Because I wasn't about the money grab. So what is it that I'm trying to do? I'm trying to help people build relationships to build stronger businesses. So LinkedIn, you do the same thing. You got to figure out what they want. You got to figure out what you want, and you got to figure out a way to give them what they want, and then they'll help you get what you want, right? That's a Ziglarism, right? Find enough people,
So,
help them get what they want,
so,
and they'll help you get what you want that way.
so Ira, in that sense, sorry, Rishabh, I'm kind of, it's on the same line, but I'm interjecting. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
So like with speaking, for example, because I don't have I don't sell a product. I
Right, you
have
wanna
my own
speak.
companies.
Yeah.
My whole thing is about speaking and whatever. So would you like, giving away, talk about like giving away part. Like, would you just give away like, hey, I'm in your town on this date. I've got time for an extra
Easy.
chat. No?
This is
Yeah,
super
like that.
simple. This is super simple. Find those people, right? Take a cut up. So instead of sending them the whole speech, cut up like 30 seconds, 3 minutes, whatever you want, like a short or a reel, and send it to them for free. Say, hey, this is something I thought might resonate with you. If you're interested in talking about having me speak, give the entire speech to you, to your audience, let's talk. It's not a sales pitch. You're demonstrating your work. It's real short. And it's video content, which, by the way, 80% of people online are searching for video content.
So are you advising to send, in this example of Igor's example, to send this in a DM?
Yeah,
And
that's a great DM. And no,
yeah.
hello, Tom Smith. So glad, blah, 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 right? This isn't, it's informal. It's informal outreach, right? Because you don't want it to look like a pitch. As soon as I see, hey, Ira, hi, Ira, hello, Ira, and half the time those people misspell my name. Because autocorrect takes Ira, makes it it's, or they call me Ian, or whatever the hell I don't even read it. I get 500 messages a minute. I don't have time to read this crap, right? So what am I looking for? 1 or 2 sentences, short and sweet. And the video should be a link to a YouTube what do they call that? They have
Unlisted.
private,
Unlisted.
yeah, unlisted video. Why? You made that video just for them. So how many plays were on it? 1 or 0? You know if they watched it. You can follow up. Super simple. Give stuff away. Find stuff that they want.
Do you mind me asking what do you give away when you send a message? If you do cold DMs at all, and if you do, what do you send?
Well, I don't do mass DMs, but like the gift I was telling you about, how to increase website traffic, that's one. Could be, how to improve your LinkedIn header. Another one, right? I've sent out the video that I made about bookmarking LinkedIn profiles as a gift. Always gifts that are related to what I do, but it's not a pitch.
And the reason I was asking you this question, Ira, is because like I've been to workshops at business schools for over a decade. I get called in every year and I do these communication and how do you land jobs through networking, interviewing, all that type of stuff. And then like you, corporations have brought me multiple times. Forbes has brought me a bunch of times, Google as well. I've done keynotes for Unilever. Stanley Black & Decker brings me in every year to teach their mid-managers how to do boardroom presentations, right? So, and that side grows when in the coaching front, or even if it is trying to get in touch with a new organization, I always have this, I'm not a pitch slap person.
Yeah.
And so and because we've all been in the receiving end of it. So
right.
I've always just kind of been like, well, I don't know if that's the right strategy on LinkedIn too.
Well,
and I don't want to say pitch slap, but even to just get on the DM and just say, hey, here's a 3-minute thing on how you can improve the way you're going to get promoted within your organization.
How about I help you with this? So simple. Remember the question. Diagnose what they want, right? You might say what they need, but I'm going to say what they want because people don't always buy what they need. Think medicine, vitamins, exercise. Everybody needs those things. Do they do it? Right?
Yeah.
Cigarettes, beer, gambling, hookers. I mean, whatever. They don't always need it, but they want it. And if they want it, they're going to find a way to get it. Right? So figure out what your clients or prospects really want. And then ask them a question. The first sentence isn't hello, blankety blank. It's that question. You already know, or you presume the answer is yes, or you wouldn't be asking the question, right? Do you want to increase your website traffic? What if I can help you increase your website traffic for free? Something like that, right? And then I give them the link. No strings attached. I use that a lot because a lot of people are looking for the bait and switch. And there is no bait and switch. I will never send a follow-up email or pitch with an offer. I never send a pitch via DM. Because the minute you do that, you're going to start to ruin your reputation.
Yeah.
So it's always giving. And we can pull up my DMs if you like. I can show you. I don't DM. I don't have a virtual assistant going through and spamming on my behalf. None of that. I think that that's a mistake. Because the first thing they know about you is you don't value them, you value the transaction you're trying to proffer. Right? Are we transactional or am I just a meal ticket? Because if I'm not a human being to you, I'm not interested. You lost me at what, I don't care what the offer is. You lost me already, right? But if you send me a thing and say, hey, Ira, and then there's something that I need. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I was trying to be cute, but whatever, right? How to grow hair, right? I don't know. I'm not very tall either, so how to grow. I'm 5'7", full disclosure, right? So I'm the little guy. I'm also from Russian descent, Igor. So sorry?
I said, didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad actually lives in the Ukraine. Well, actually he's in Poland right now, but anyways, that's another story for another
My
day.
mom's from Ukraine. So I was born in Moldova.
Yeah. Well, Mykolaiv is where my family was from. So anyways, there you go. All right. So back to this. I would ask a question, singular sentence, and then give them the gift. And it doesn't have to be a video. It could be a blog article that you wrote. Again, that's going to come off a little bit more like that's probably not a great image, but you know what I mean? Send them a graphic, a diagram, a report. I'll tell you, actually, let's see if I can find it. Hang on a second. You want a real world example? I'm going to try and give you a real world example. So I did this for somebody. Oh, you know what? I think I did that in an email now that I'm thinking about it. All right. I have this tool. I'm going to show you what I did. So I have this tool. I'm a big fan of tools, by the way, right? So bought this product. By the way, I don't usually disclose all my tools. This is one of those that I kind of keep in my hip pocket, but I'm going to share it with you anyways. Do either of you have a website?
Yeah.
What's the website?
RUSHAB, rushab.com. Very simple. My name, rushab.com.
Perfect. And I love that. I also have irabowman.com for the same reason.
Yeah, I've got igorweinstein.com.
Perfect.
Try www.rushab. For some reason the HTTP, you need that. The www in front of it. I got to figure out why that is. You have one too many W's there.
Oop. That's the dyslexia in me. There we go. Okay. So watch this. So I was looking on another site that I use instead of Sales Navigator, and I was looking at potential people that I could help, right? They're not getting enough traffic. Yeah, this doesn't help because you don't have...
I use Kajabi, by the way.
Yeah, well, okay, we got several problems. I don't want to slam you. Let me just show you what I did. So I was on their website. This is my philanthropy, by the way, Project Help You Grow. Okay. So I went to their website, which they're in the AEC, so they're architect, engineering, construction field. And so I ran a report that looks something like this, right? And their keyword report. So they had one word only that was on the front page. So the way Google works, 0 through 10, first page, 11 through 20, second page, and so forth, right? So most people don't go past the first page. So you want to get as many on the first page. Now for my philanthropy right now, I've got 3 that are on. This is awful. This needs SEO work. I don't do any SEO work for this, just so you guys, in full disclosure. But I'm showing you what I did. So I went to his site. I did something like this. I can export this list right here. So I exported it and I sent it to him. And I said, hey, I just did an analysis on your website and I noticed that you have, some work to do, but I don't know if you even know about this. And then I sent him the competition that he had. And I said, if you look at some of these, and I pulled the report for them, I said, these are some of the keywords that are low competition, that are relatively easy to rank for. You just need to write some blog articles on these topics and it'll help you increase your overall rankings and will draw some traffic to you. I did not say, you can hire us to do the work for you. This is how much it would cost. I just did a little bit. It took me like 5 minutes, and I sent it to him in an email. I normally would do that as a DM, right? But that's what I did. Now, did the guy respond? I'd love to tell you, oh yeah, and he's a client now. But that's not the case. He didn't even say thank you. Probably didn't even read it, honestly. He probably went to his spam and there you go. But the fact is, that's the kind of stuff that I would do. And I do it all the time. But I just look for, instead of giving them the whole thing, I give them just a nugget. So like for coaching, if you're trying to build your coaching business, here's what I would suggest. What are some of the things that you're talking about currently that you know they want, right? And maybe they want speaking opportunities. Maybe they want to double the size of their income over the next 18 months. Whatever it is that you're working with on them for, right? But you find something that's relevant, that's interesting. It doesn't even have to be something you wrote or a video that you created. Go find Zig Ziglar stuff. Go find stuff from Gary Vee. You can find, I mean, there's so many people out there that are talking, right? Here's an interesting video. I thought you might be interested in it. No pitch. That's how you start the friendship. And you start there. Most people are trying to make money with every outbound thing they do, and that's the mistake. You're rushing to try to make the sale. You don't have the foundation of the relationship established. We need no like and trust. Again, once we have no like and trust, they'll start asking you what you do. How can I help you? You've given me value. Now I feel like I should return it. So what can I do? And then the answer to that is not buy my stuff. Never, never, never. Because once you do that, then the balance is equal, right? You offered me coaching, I paid your fee, and now we're even. There's no reason for me to refer you. One person can refer me multiple people. I'll make more money by making them a referral partner than I'll ever make by having them as a client. I get very few referrals from my clients, and it's not because they don't love what I do. You can go to my Clutch or my Google reviews and see they all give me 5 stars. It's very rare, but I don't get 5 stars. And when I do, I get a 4.5 or 4, right? Most of mine are 5. Why? Because we give more than we don't overpromise and underdeliver. We underpromise and overdeliver. That's our thing. We always give more value. So people are fine to refer us. But I've noticed this. Those clients, unless I ask specifically, who should I, who do you know that might need my services too, right? And then they fall over themselves going, oh man, I should have thought of that. So then there's a lesson learned too, right? Ask every once in a while your existing clients for referrals. But the fact is, the people that you're giving stuff to that aren't paying you are looking for ways to even the scale. And when they ask you, what can you do? The simple answer every single time is, who do you know who needs what I do? Can you introduce me?
Yeah, and I think that's a great advice. I try to lean onto referrals as well. But I have a 3:30 I have to hop onto, so I wanted to
No
thank
worries.
you
We're
so
way,
much.
we're way over time.
No, it's fine. I just want to thank you, and I did send you a connection request as well. I did write a little
I'll
note on
accept it. I'll accept
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And feel
And
free. I like your questions. I like what you're trying to do, your approach. I think you're going to like my philosophies, and I think I can help you.
yeah, I'll be happy to stay in touch and maybe get another call. Thank you so much, Ira.
Perfect.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Rashad. Good luck with
Igor,
your call.
take care,
Appreciate
buddy.
it. All right. See you, Rashad. See you, Ira.
See you, Igor.